Good morning, everyone. I've rolled out of bed to a bunch of Discord notifications, and that means Rostermania news has finally hit the timeline. Spirit have moved forward on the speculated moves we heard about for the last week or so. Magix is heading to the bench, and Zwei, the hotshot from Nemiga who popped off during the last Austin Major, is stepping up to fill the gap. It is an end of an era for Spirit, so to say, as Magix has been a fixture on many of their lineups. But at the end of the day, Spirit needed to make a move to solidify themselves against some of the best teams in the world, and I think this move accomplishes that. The question is it enough to move the needle? Let's go ahead and talk about it. If you guys enjoy this kind of Rostermania content, you can show me by leaving a like, leaving a comment down below, and subscribing to the channel if you haven't already. Help me hit 10k subs by the end of the year. Once again, there is no sponsor for this video, so I want to give a special shout out to our channel members. It is the #1 way to support me directly. For $5 a month, you get a cool little logo next to your name at the end of the video, as well as in the description down below, and a custom role in our community Discord. Thank you so much to our channel members. Let's go ahead and talk about the news. So right out the gate, I think this is about the best signing Spirit could have made in terms of swapping Magix for another player. Zwei and Magix more or less play similar roles, or at least play a similar playstyle on both sides of the map. Zwei is younger, and most of all, he was by far Nemiga's best player to close out this last stretch of run heading into the player break. For all of 2025, he's been consistently above a 1.10 rating, and at points gone pretty well above that, almost getting to 1.2 at points. Granted, he did a lot of that in Tier 2 online competition, which you always have to take with a pinch of salt. But thankfully, what really helped put his name out there was he was by far Nemiga's best player at the Blast Austin Major. He had many standout performances and helped propel Nemiga through both of the first stages and all the way to top 16. Now, once we got to top 16, Nemiga did flare out and he did not fare as well against some of the top competition. But for a major debut at 17 years old, to make top 16 and show out the way he did was a very huge vote of confidence for a lot of people, myself included. One thing I had to reckon with constantly throughout the coverage of the major was that I kept underrating Nemiga at pretty much every turn, and they kept proving me wrong at every turn, and Zwei was more often than not the main culprit of that. He passes the eye test really well, as he doesn't have this super flashy aggressive playstyle. He plays further back in the pack on T side, plays a lot of soft ankle rolls on the CT side. It makes total sense if you're Spirit to target this guy to replace what Magix is bringing to the table. Now, I'm not going to sit here and totally downplay what Magix does for Team Spirit. He has been more than willing to play the sacrifice the entirety of their tenure and their rise to prominence. He will do all of the thankless rolls, he will throw all of the grenades, he will drop all of the guns, he will do everything, and then also, not infrequently, have pop-off moments when Spirit really needs it. Magix by no means, I think, disappointed for his tenure in Spirit. It just got to the point where his average level of production was not good enough. I mean, when you just simply compare the two stats, here is Zwei versus Magix on Skybox Edge. It really isn't much of a comparison in terms of who is the better average player. But there are some things on this graph, if I was Team Spirit, I would be a little bit worried about. The big thing you're going to lose here is a lot of nade efficacy. Zwei is a younger player, he is more of a kill first player. Magix was very efficient with a lot of his utility damage, his flashing, his ability to work within the system. So Chopper is going to have to do a fair amount of work to help bring some of these stats up to replace that burden or carry it himself. It's also not unreasonable to expect that Zwei's numbers will have to come down a little bit just due to the fact that Donk, Chiro, and even to a little bit of an extent Zontix take up so much of the fragging bandwidth, so to say, within this team. Is Zwei going to immediately have a 1.15-ish rating on Spirit? I don't know about that, because he's definitely going to be deprioritized within the system just as a matter of the stars that are around him. Like I said, on paper, the average level of firepower should significantly increase for Team Spirit, but I don't think this is a zero-sum game. There is definitely some potential for Zwei to struggle within this system, and a lot of this is going to fall to Chopper and Holly to make sure that he gets the amount of resources he needs to flourish, and also at the same time not take away from the broader system that's built around him. Now, luckily, as someone who plays more of these anchor type roles, I do think Zwei is inherently less selfish than maybe more star-oriented players. He's used to playing a little bit further in the pack, and giving room for the more aggressive types to take their space. On that note, probably the best aspect about this move is that the transition in roles is pretty much seamless. In terms of the CT side, there's essentially no issue in slotting his way immediately into Magic's spots. They do differ in a couple of the bomb sites they like to play, but overall, they're playing anchor, soft anchor positions, so there really shouldn't be that much of a difference from, say, A and B bomb site on any given map in terms of just what they are meant to do. On T side, it's essentially the same thing. There's really no issue in terms of Zwei having to learn different roles or being forced into positions he doesn't want. He's going to slot in more or less one for one, play kind of that soft, lurk, kind of extremity type of position on most maps. And honestly, considering he's just overall a better fragger, this gives Spirit a huge firepower boost, which is the biggest takeaway. So, looking at it holistically, does this move the needle for Spirit? I think overall, this should be a pretty significant step forward. Obviously, I am known for being vocally critical of Chopper as an IGL, and all those criticisms absolutely maintain themselves. But if we can just kind of shelter Chopper's IGLing issues under the umbrella of overall more firepower, then it can work. Because at the end of the day, Chopper's not that far removed from someone like a Blitz, who's more of a fragging first, very simplistic approach style of IGL. So if we just have more fragging, we don't really have to worry about the fact that our strat book is thin on the ground. The problem ultimately for Spirit in 2025 so far is their inability to beat the three teams above them. Falcons, Maus, and Vitality were continuing to be a problem because oftentimes in these big best of threes or best of fives, what would fail Spirit is their depth. The over-reliance on Donk to pretty much do everything in a lot of these key moments was simply not going to be sustainable long-term. And when you look at things broadly, Spirit were not far off. Statsmeister on Twitter put this out recently and I replied to it because it was just baffling to look at. Did you guys know that going into this player break, so far in big events this year, Spirit have the second best total map win rate? They are winning 73% of their maps this year. 82 maps, they've won 73% of them. The next closest team below them is the Mongols at 58% over 102 maps, and the only team above them is Vitality with 94 maps at an 80% win rate. They are nearly winning as many maps as Vitality, yet they have made not even close to as many finals. So they are losing those handful of maps only against the very best teams in the world. And I'm not even exaggerating. Other than just a handful of lost maps, not series, maps, to random teams like Astralis or Gamer Legion, Spirit have only lost one series this year to a non-top 3 team. And that was a random group stage loss to Na'Vi at Katowice. And by the way, they eliminated Na'Vi later on in the same event, so really not much to take away from there. Other than that, the only losses that Spirit have taken are to Falcons, Maus, and Vitality. So, at the end of the day, does Zwei move the needle in those matchups? Against Falcons and Maus? I think yes. I don't know if anyone can stop Vitality soon unless Vitality strictly start playing worse. Spirit have the potential to beat Vitality because when you have Donk, you have the potential to do anything. But this should significantly raise the average level of firepower for Spirit in such a way that they should be a much more threatening team. If anything, I think it's very tenable for Zwei to become the third best player over Zontix, which would be a huge shift in dynamics for the team, as relying on Zontix to be the third best, despite the fact that I've become sort of a Zontix defender, is of course not ideal. So overall, this is an A+ move. I think people are going to get fixated on the whole aura thing and what Magix did in the major finals in Shanghai, but this was long overdue. If Magix doesn't play literally the best game of his fucking career against FaZe, he would have been cut already. The writing was on the wall even 6 months before the Shanghai major finals. Spirit needed to make this change sooner, and they would have had they not won the goddamn major, so it's understandable that Magix gets another 6 months as the benefit of the doubt. If you win the major, you don't get cut right away. That is just a courtesy thing that I think is worthwhile for all parties involved. So while Magix is everyone's favorite little Pookie Bear, and I hate to see him go, in terms of the CS and the server, this is a slam fucking dunk move, and I'm excited to see what Spirit can do for the rest of 2025. If you guys enjoyed this Roster Mania coverage, you can show me by leaving a like, leaving a comment down below, subscribe to the channel, 10k subs by the end of the year. Thank you guys so much for all the support, and an even bigger thank you to our channel members, Justin Jesse Furley, Milan Berta, Bubblesj, Dr. Cocktor, Patatas Kaftesi, BTR, B1 Games, Cody Foxworthy, Justin Vegt, I'm Flashbang, Snowy White, Rowdy, Vergil'sPlasticChair, LBKcs, Snax Enjoyer, Crunchy Water, zerotwocs. If you guys want to become a channel member, $5 a month, support Spirit directly. It's the best way to do it. Get your name at the end of the video just like this, a custom role in our community Discord, and a cool little logo next to your name. Thank you so much to our channel members. Follow me on twitch.tv/LionHeartZ2. Follow me on Twitter. Follow me on TikTok. Follow me on LinkedIn. Follow me on Indeed. Follow me on the McDonald's application. Fuck you. Bye.